Welcome to Inspiring Possible. I'm Christy Pennison, former stuck person turned therapist and dream consultant. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, uncertain, or just need a little inspiration? Then I want to help you gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to create possibilities and live a life you love. Because, folks, life's too short to be miserable. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Inspiring Possible, where possibilities are possible. Where the impossible is possible. I really got to get a better tagline to intro y'all. But anyways, welcome back. If you've been here for the past few episodes, you know we've been taking a deep dive into what it means to slow down, create space, and really listen. We started talking about the power of pondering, which is giving ourselves permission to pause and ask deep questions. Then we moved into stillness. And I know all these are things that can be a real struggle, but thank y'all for holding in there and about how that getting quiet, especially in nature, helps us see things more clearly. And today I want to bring it all together because we've reflected, we've listened, and maybe there's been some things that have sparked in your mind or in your heart. And so now it's time to talk about what we do with that clarity. And clarity is sneaky. You don't always see the whole picture. You might see part of the picture. Sometimes the picture comes so vividly, it like slams you in the face and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I was supposed to do. But just no matter if it comes in full force where you see it vividly or if it comes in pieces, just trust it. And so today we're going to talk about how to take those insights that you have maybe gleaned from pondering and being still and turn them into what I think is one of the most important pieces of this whole pausing and pondering, and that is turning them into intentional action. I was actually went to church the other day because I do go to church sometimes. You can find me there in a pew. And I was listening to the message, and one of the things that the pastor said that really aligns with kind of some of the things I'm going to be talking to you about was that, we have a knowing, okay? And then there is part of the doing. You can't just be able to know or gain clarity what you think you should be doing and going in that direction and then not do anything. Because, folks, that means that you got good intentions. But a person with good intentions don't mean that they getting to where they intended to be going. And if one thing I have learned along this journey, well, I've learned a lot of things, but if one thing that's really clear as we're talking about this is that intentional action can be a game changer. And then gratitude can be the anchor that keeps us grounded as we are moving forward with intention. And so a few weeks ago, I was sitting on my front porch early in the morning, coffee and air in my hand because I gotta have my coffee in the morning, folks. Gotta have that coffee. The air is still cold or it's cool. It's like, changing of the seasons type of stuff. And the world was just starting to wake up. And I had this long to-do list sitting in my office somewhere. But for whatever reason, I didn't want to go look at it. Instead, I was just sitting there, that is a word, watching the light come through the trees. And in that quiet, I caught myself thinking, what if vision doesn't have to be something we chase? What if it's something we cultivate? And, I just realized that vision isn't always about a giant leap because I have leaped some in my life, folks. And I've learned, oh gosh, I got a story about this. You can leap, but sometimes the perfectly laid out 5-year plan is not always going to come to fruition in the way you thought it was going to be. It's often about paying attention, noticing where there's energy, peace, or joy, and taking the next small right step toward it, not always knowing the exact roadmap. And that morning when I was sitting, it became a reminder that clarity without action is just potential energy. It's movement that never happens. But when we act on what we do know, even in small ways, the next piece of the path tends to reveal itself. And sometimes we have to be ready to fall, honestly, which takes me to a story that I'd love to share with you at this moment. You might be like, okay, Christy, what story are you going to share? So, a few weeks ago, and I might have mentioned this in the previous episode, my team that I work with on the daily decided to go on a retreat that we do each year. And we thought it would be a good idea, or at least me, I guess, thought it would be a good idea with my planner person, my right hand man, Samantha's, said, let's go and we're going to do a small ropes course. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever done these ropes course, but it's all about team building and exercise about trust and things like that. And in this exercise, there was a trust fall. Now, I don't know if y'all seen them reels where people have like fell forward and instead of falling back or just when people don't catch each other. But I remember going up to this platform that was legitimately at least 5 feet off the ground. Like it had to be at least 5 feet off the ground, if not six. And the object was that the person was supposed to go on the platform and there were supposed to be three sets of people, so six people total, that were supposed to catch you as you fall backwards. And I remember first, Samantha's went up there because she was going to take the lead, but she started to get nervous. And she's like, guys, I just don't think I can fall back. And I'm like, well, when I know what I know now, rightfully so. She was like, I don't know if I want to be the first to go. So I said, look, I guess, somebody got to be the leader. So I was like, Samantha, it's okay. I know you're scared. Why don't you let me just go ahead and I'll go fall first? That way, hopefully it'll give people permission to fall after me. And that is my personality. Like it's just fall in faith. Okay. Is what I'm going to call. So I climb up on this platform. Samantha climbs down. I climb up and I look back at my team and I said, guys, just want y'all to know I trust y'all. And there was a word I was supposed to say, and there was a word they were supposed to say. So I get up there and I say, falling. And then they were supposed to say, fall on. And that was to signal to me that it was time to fall in faith. And I wish I could tell you that I said falling and they said fall on. And then I descended on them ever so lightly, like a feather, that nobody moved. And I was able to then descend nicely into their arms and then eventually upright on the ground. But no such thing happened. I said falling. They said fall on. And really what had happened is that I'm so tall that the three sets of people probably should have been four sets of people in hindsight. And they were close to the platform and should have been a little bit further away from the platform. And the way that they were maybe trying to catch me, the way that they were instructed to hold may have not been the best. And essentially, they broke my fall, but I kept falling. And to this day, it is literally one of the best memories I have of 2025. Now, you would probably thinking to yourself, Christy, you fell and you didn't land the way you anticipated. How is that one of your best memories of 2025? And I'll tell you why. It's because you have to fall in faith, folks. And I'm not saying this could have went real south real fast because if like nobody broke my fall, I would not be talking to you right now in such confidence or thinking it was that funny because I did kind of slightly hit my head on the ground. But what I do think was incredible about this experience was that number one, you have to take intentional action. And when you take intentional action in faith, it will not always work out in the way you intend it to, but you will learn something. So, our team learned in that experience number one, we might have should have had more people. Number two, we might should have been positioned differently. Number three, we might should have had someone that was a little lighter go first, Whatever it is, we learned from that experience. And what was even better is we will be laughing about this and having such a great memory for years to come. Literally, I still chuckle at myself. It makes me smile every time I think about it. And, so there's stuff that you learn, and that's where the gratitude comes in. Is then I have gratitude that number one, these people would try to they really did try to catch me. So they were there waiting to catch me, and they volunteered and said, "Yes, okay, leader, we will try to catch you." And then number 2, they gave me the biggest hugs, like, when they realized it wasn't going according to plan. And so, you know, there is such gratitude with doing it with people that will attempt things with you because they had to attempt this. Like, the team could have walked up to this trust fall situation and been like, "We're not gonna even attempt it." But one thing that I really left in gratitude that day for is that we are a team of attempters, okay? And when you think about the word vision in your mind about where you're gonna go, many people often think about strategy or achievement or something grand, impressive, very far away. And yes, that can be a part of it. But for me, vision has started meaning something simpler, and that means alignment. And what's beautiful about this whole story with the team is that when people are alignment, we are in agreement about what we're doing, where we're going, why it's important for us to get there. And you may not have a team. Like sometimes my team for different goals in my life is like my family. Sometimes it's my friends. We need to be in alignment that we need to go on this vacation over here, right? And sometimes if you try to get some women together that are busy, you will find it is hard to get in alignment with that. But it's the process of bringing who you are, what you value, and how you live into harmony. Who you are, what you value, how you live, all into one. And it's not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things that you feel is right in that season for the right reasons. I used to think I needed to have the whole roadmap figured out before I could move forward. For example, again, that story, we didn't have it all figured out before I fell. In fact, I got up there pretty quickly and was like, trust you guys, falling, fall on, you know? And I just, I used to think that you had to have it figured out, but that's the whole thing. You got to fall. You got to fall. And you will sometimes not land in the way that you think you're going to land. Okay. But the vision that you have for where you want to go is now more of a compass than a map. And a compass doesn't tell you every turn, it just keeps you pointed in the right direction. It's like this podcast, even when it started out, like I had a compass of what I wanted the foundational elements to be about it and what I wanted to give to you, the listener, what I wanted to inspire in you, what I wanted to help you create for your life. But I didn't know all the guests. I didn't know like if I was going to do solo. I mean, still every month I'm making this up. Like, okay, we're gonna do some solo episodes. We're gonna have some guests, and we've had some amazing guests this year. And now it's time for me to transition and do a few solos. But here's this thing: when you start moving in that direction, even imperfectly, clarity grows, and momentum creates understanding. I like to say that sometimes the most powerful decision is not what's the next big move. It's simply what's one thing I can do today that feels aligned with who I'm becoming. And then it's being able to have gratitude for the journey. And that is the thing that keeps all of this from becoming overwhelming. Because there are days when I look at the vision of where it is that I feel I'm being led to go. And it is scary AF, okay? Because we don't cuss on this show, but I'm just gonna say it's scary AF, okay? And sometimes I lose the vision. Like I am in a season right now where I am recreating what that vivid vision is, and I'm trying to seek that clarity through that pondering and that pausing and that stillness we've been talking about the past 2 episodes. And I don't know for sure. It used to be a lot clearer. Now it's a little bit foggy. And so now I'm just sitting in the stillness, you know, waiting for it to download, but I don't expect the whole thing to download. I just expect to get a little bit clearer of where it is that I'm supposed to be going next. And I have realized when building something, a business, whether it be parenting, whether it be dream, it's easy to live in the tension between where we are and where we want to be. Think about, I have a teenager in my house and she can drive now. But when she was in the space from wanting to drive to not being able to drive and have that space between not being able and wanting to, I could see it was frustrating for her. And in any type of thing that we're aiming for, that space can feel really frustrating. And you might feel like you're waiting for the next breakthrough, the next milestone, the next green light. But I'll tell you what bridges the gap every single time. And it's hard to remember, but it's like a refocuser, and that is gratitude. And for me, gratitude has been the tool that brings me back to the center when things get blurry or hard. I've had seasons where growth was so exciting and others where it stretched me to my limits, where I was almost like a flat tire on the side of the road. Okay. You know, those tires that blow out and then they just live on the side of the road. Yes, I was almost that tired. But every time I stopped and acknowledged what's good, what's already working, who actually noticing who's walking beside me, who is the person that's out there trying to catch me, what is the progress I've already made? It changes my whole energy. It's like I can breathe again, and it shifts my focus from what's missing to what is meaningful. And it helps me see that even when you're not there yet, in parentheses, you're still moving. And that is something to celebrate, my friend. Yay, let's have a party. Celebration. And honestly, it makes the journey lighter because when you are thankful for what is, the pressure of what isn't loses its grip. So, how do we take these ideas, vision, and gratitude and weave them into our daily lives? Well, here is a few things that have helped me stay intentional and grounded. Number one, it's just being able to sometimes say out loud or journal or however you want to, taking a few minutes of your day to think about three things that you're grateful for. Sometimes it's about trying to think about things you're letting go of. And then I love me a good sticky note. And that is for the things that I want to focus on today. Guys, it's amazing I've made it this far in life. And if I made it this far, I know you can make it farther. Okay. Just throwing it out there. And the sticky note has saved me. Okay. But gratitude first, release what's heavy, and take aligned action. And then every week, carve out a few quiet moments to ask yourself. I used to do this a lot better than I do it right now in this season, but I found that in seasons, we move through, bounce between tools that really work for us that season and may have to switch it up. But I love taking some time for reflection of like what felt aligned this week, what felt off, what's one step I can take next week that moves me closer to my vision. You will be amazed how small, consistent reflection builds momentum over time. And it is like vital to you moving forward. In our team, we use a goal setting system called the EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, and it kind of forces us to do this every week, every month, definitely every quarter, and then yearly. And so we're always redefining where are we going? Why is it important for us to get there? What is the most important in this season? And you can do this for yourself. What is the most important to your season? And I promise you, every time I've done this, and y'all might have even grabbed a copy of that Dream It, Write It, Do It workbook that is free online. If you haven't, go to ChristyPennison.com. Here is your reminder to get it. If you've done it before, get it again. I've done that sucker so many times, and each season, there's something else that I'm focusing on. And so remember that just that small reflection, it will help you figure out, oh, wait, I've went further than I have thought I did. And I may still have a ways to go, and that's okay. And so the last thing I would recommend that's helped me stay intentional grounded is say the gratitude out loud. Don't just think about what you're grateful for. Say it, folks. Text a coworker. Thank your partner. Tell a friend how much they mean to you. Gratitude grows when it's shared and it deepens relationships along the way. So you might have heard a few episodes back when we started this solo episode journey for this 3-part series, I had mentioned I went to a leadership retreat. I met a woman on the retreat, and she's just one of those people that like she probably didn't even realize she did it, or maybe she did. I don't know. But she really had the gift of empowerment because she would just say things that would naturally uplift and encourage you in the group. And then she was also funny as hell. Like she was hilarious. I mean, I laughed so much around that woman. And you know what she did the next week that we got back? When all of us had gone about our days, she sent me a text message one morning that said, "Hey," I cannot remember exactly what it said, but it was like, "I hope you have a blessed morning. You are on the right path." It was something like very encouraging, like, "You are blessed and highly favored. You're gonna keep on going that path and you're gonna make it happen." And that made my day. It made my day. And so gratitude grows when it's shared. And so who can you think of today that you are grateful for? And how can you say it out loud to them and remind them that you are grateful for them along the journey? So, as we kind of wrap up this little three-part solo journey from pondering to stillness to vision, I want you to remember this. You don't have to have the whole plan figured out. You just have to take one small, clear, grateful step forward because clarity begins in stillness. Direction comes from movement, and peace that comes from gratitude and some of the stillness too in nature, preferably. So this week, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take a short walk outside, no phone, no agenda. Y'all know I've been talking about this for a second. And as you walk, think of three things you're grateful for. And then ask yourself, one simple action I can take this week that aligns with the life I want to build. And when you take that step, even if it's ever so tiny, I want you to celebrate that, my friend. Celebrate it, have a party, email me. I can send you a dancing video if you want. I'll help you celebrate. Because every time you take action from a place of gratitude, you're shaping a life that feels more authentic, more peaceful, and more full of possibility. Seriously. I mean, you just gotta sometimes fall in faith, folks. Fall in faith. So I just want to thank you for joining me along this journey. If you've been listening to Inspiring Possible for a little time or a long time, thank you for joining me on this conversation today. And thank you for being a part of this community. So here's to you, friend, taking your next step one grateful breath at a time. And if anybody hasn't told you lately, I want to be the person that tells you I am so grateful for you. I am grateful that you not only take time to listen to this podcast because it's an investment in yourself that hopefully will inspire you to follow what's on your heart and create that vision of possibility for your life. I'm so proud of you and I'm so grateful for you. Until next time, friends, keep inspiring what's possible.
That's all for today on Inspiring Possible. If you found a little inspiration today, please go on over to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen to leave us a comment and rate us. Also, make sure and link up with me at inspiringpossible.com to get the free Dream It, Write It, Do It workbook. And don't forget to follow us on social media and share this with anyone who needs to be inspired. Remember, if you can believe it, it's possible.